Hi, this is Ron Nutter and welcome to another edition of Tech Bites with Ron Nutter Product Reviews. Today we're looking at the FNIRSI, I guess how you pronounce it, DSO-TC3 oscilloscope, and 3 things you need to know. And before you turn off this review, we're not doing anything with the oscilloscope. We're getting into all the features that you may not even see or look at. So the oscilloscope is coming along for the ride for what we're concerned with. Now first we're going to get into the unboxing. And fair disclosure, I've had this out of the box working with a little bit. Now you've got, whoops, turn it the right way. So you've got a manual and a kind of a warning guide of what not to do. Now there are a few cables in here. So we've got what amounts to is charging cable, another cable where you can hook on to like a battery or a device that you may be testing or some component in there, and you've got 3 different spring-loaded clips that can go into the component tester. So you're having to test something in circuit as long as the circuit's powered off, or you don't want to stick it into the front of the TC3. And we'll get the plastic bag off here. Now this is not an everyday oscilloscope. You're going to hear me say that because there's several things in here that you really need to take a look at. Now this can do component testing to a degree. So you've got all those, and this is what's called, if you're not familiar with this kind of socket, this is what's called a zero insertion force. As far as you don't have to force anything to it. You just flip the lever up, put your component in the spots where it's labeled, and then the different tests will tell you how to plug it in, and then you press it back down and it will hold it. I have yet to really look at the manual for this because everything I'm finding, it tells me right on the screen. It has a built-in battery, so you're good to go from that standpoint. Now notice up here it says, let me get down here a little bit more, it says IR. It will read an infrared device, but we're getting ahead of ourselves here. And it will do some component testing. But again, we're getting ahead of ourselves here. This is also the scope lead set that comes with it. It comes with the adjustment tool. You can put colored rings around it for whatever purpose you want to have. Since this doesn't have the BNC adapters on it where you would plug into it up here, you're going to use this little adapter right here. But again, we're going to be doing stuff that's not the oscilloscope, and so let's go ahead and get started here. Now thing number 1, now this one that we're looking at now is we're going into what's called M-tester. So I've got a resistor all ready to go here out of the 470 ohm pack. We'll put it in places, and I got to tilt this over here just a little bit. Alright, so we'll go OK, and we'll press now with the resistor here. I've just used spots 1 and 2. Okay, so it tells you there's a resistor, and we get down here a little bit more. Okay, that's about as close as I can do. So it says 469 points. Now this is just a regular temperature probe, a lot more detail. So we will just go and put the probe spots down there in 1, 2, 3 section. And then we will lock that down. And you see almost immediately it's showing temperature. So this, you could have several of these in places and just walk up with the DSO-TC3 and give you, I have looked all over in this meter and there is nowhere I can find to adjust, to change rather the Celsius to Fahrenheit. So you'll just have to do some conversion. But for a little box like this to do the 2 things we've shown, and we got 2 more yet to go. Deal up, and then we'll go, okay. And then we'll go back into tools, we'll press OK. And this is going to be the DT11. Okay, now see, this one helps you identify it pretty easily because it's got little open air place here. Now it says pins 1, 2, and 4, but it's got them 1, 2, and 3. So I just, without a whole lot of information here, plugged it in, and as you can see, it gives you immediate humidity as well as the temperature. Now the temperature is going to be off probably between this and the propane. I got these in like in a pack of 3. You may find differences between it. So at least it gives you a rough idea of what's going on. And we'll take that one out. And this is the one I'm excited about, because sometimes when you go to program a universal remote and it doesn't want to talk to the device, this one will at least give you a chance at it. And we're going to get it right here. I'm going to point this right over to the, oh here, we'll do it right over to the, I'm trying to find the right way where I can see it and you can see it. Okay, so we'll go over here, and that gives you the readout of what that particular button. So it gives you the information. You may need to manually put this in to a custom remote, and we'll try different buttons so you can see. So it is responding. Now, this does require that this follows the NEC protocol. So if you get no response, well, then you've got a remote it doesn't know how to read. And we've shown this to be, it can test components, it can test or give you information as to temperature and humidity, and it can help you possibly see if your remotes are going. And that's just scratching the surface. I deliberately stayed away from the oscilloscope because there are people who don't use an oscilloscope. And this is something that is a very handy tool, because it gives you things that in a little different format from what a voltmeter would do, although this does have voltmeter capability. Again, this is just to get you up and running and experiment with them on this a little bit, because you're going to see that this has got a lot of potential to it. So we've gone over, it does individual component testing, we've tested remote controls, I've shown you 2 different temperature/humidity probes. That's a lot for a little box like this to do, more than I would have expected. Plus doing, I mean, being able to test components, I'm talking capacitors, transistors. There's a lot I think this thing can test, and some of you are just going to have to kind of experiment and see what's going on. But do take a look at this one, because I think you're going to find it very handy.